everybody. Welcome to the Life Money Balance podcast. I am your host, Dr. Preston Cherry, where we talk about letting your life lead your money and the topics and tools that help you on your journey towards life well being. Let's chop it up. Well, we are back with my parents from the previous episode. I told you we'll be back with another episode, and they agreed to come back. So, welcome, Carla and Charles, again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. I mean, everybody loved your previous podcast, and we were talking about the two lives that you've had. You're in your second journey, and it's so great to see you going into your next journey. You seem so happy. so
We
just
are.
just tell us a little bit about that. I mean, you're in your work optional part of your life. Pops, you just retired. Your mom, you've been work optional for a long time. So just tell the audience about what this stage of life feels like.
Feels great.
It does.
It feels wonderful.
It really, really does. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yes. Well, let's dive in a little bit about that, about preparation into like the transition, the pre-transition. What goes into that? Because a lot of your marriage, your partnership, particularly about money. This is what we're helping the audience with, and just about life, because that's what life money balance is. It's the intersection of life and money and how it helps the goals, the aspirations about life. And one of the things that's helped you all just you know magnify your partnership in your life is communication and trust and
Yes,
friendship, right?
yes, yes. All those things.
All those
Yes.
things, and of course love, you know
Oh,
and of
yes,
course
yes.
love and fun. So going into the transition, just share with the audience about what y'all talked about going into the transition.
what we did after we talked about on the last segment, we talked about how we get here and da 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 da. But the transition into a retirement life started back when we started when we had to decide whether or not we want to put money in the 401k and how much you want to do that. And I remember, and this is a really good. When we had already decided, when your mother went back to work, we put 10% of her salary up for the 401k. Back then, 401k was matching almost dollar for dollar, so it was kind of ludicrous not to do that.
Yeah.
So I remember when it was time for me to sign up. I remember that as clear as yesterday. It was like, okay, well, you fill out everything, you get down to that box. Well, how much do you want to contribute? And I was like, another 10%. That's gonna be 20% of our income. I remember just looking at that box and like, uh, I don't know, but I remember that, and I went ahead and did. Okay, let's do this. So it's 10%, which was equals 20% of our income. Well, it sounded good on paper. 20% of your income. You got two kids you're raising. You got a new house. You got life problems going on, but you want to say that 20%. So we did it. Well, as it come out, you tell God. We happen to believe in God. Whoever you believe in or whatever you believe in, you go with that. We believe in God, so we like, okay. If you want to make God laugh, tell him what your plans are. Okay, and then he starts laughing because he's got plans for you. We just had to get out of the way and accept that. But we found out the hard way that when you put that 20% of your income in, you have to be disciplined as well because now you need a new roof. Kids they're going on different field trips. They got a lot of stuff going on, and then all that comes into play. Well, that 20%, you're like, okay, you need some of that money. So we had to make an adjustment there very
Mm,
quickly.
mm.
But we still saved. Okay, but then you had to, you want to go to borrowing money because your cars break down and da da da, and all this other stuff that comes in. You're like, okay, maybe we need to reduce that down to 15%, combined. But anyway, the point of you need to save something, and it saved us a lot.
Yes.
So transitioning in there, once we knew that was where we needed to be, save a little, but still live. That balance you're talking about. So we did that. And over the years, fast forward, we come up to the point now where we're like, you know what? We want to retire and not worry about money. Well, that's a different spill on it because how much money is it going to take? Some people think you need a lot of money. They the picture. Well, you're a doctor, so you understand all that. But we was pretty simple. So we like, okay, with all these things coming in, hey, we want to be able to not worried about, if you need a new wash machine, you go out and buy it. So you had to save, make sure all these projects that we're doing now, we had to save for all that and allow for all that, along with living. What a balance. Because, and then you have those unforeseen things that's going to happen. So all that can come into play. And while you meshing all that, 30 years of your life done went by. You're like, okay, now I'm 60, 62, 63. What? So we made a conscious decision at that point to transition to where we wanted to be. We had goals that we needed to set that was going to have to happen to make that happen. So we had to pay off the house. We had to uh, make sure we didn't have no car notes. Make sure we didn't have any bills. Make sure that we like, okay, you know what? If we do all that, and manage to save a little bit and pull from that, like, I think we might be able to make it because we're pretty simple. We take a couple of trips, now and then, and we're good. So
Hmm.
that's where we are right now. We don't have a lot, but we're happy in what we had, and like right now, I don't have to worry about going to work right now, so I'm good.
You said that,
What?
yeah.
In fact, yeah, in fact, a little funny story. You know this. We tell you guys this, and people still ask me this. Well, what are you going to do? That's the point. What we going to do? What we want to do?
Right, we
You know,
do.
and one,
What do you want to do?
the number one thing is not go back to work.
It's not go back to right.
That's one thing I'm not going to do.
Right. Well, and not do that work, and we'll unpack that a little bit. And mom, yeah, there was a lot there during that timeline. So
Oh yeah,
what I picked up on is wow, so many themes right during that is trade offs, right? You all were navigating moments across that timeline, so you had to manage the current in order to keep the eye on the prize in the future. So you had to allow yourself flexibility to say, okay, sometimes we're going to have to back off
Yes,
the future savings in order to manage the current moment, and then when we
yes,
readjust, then we're going to have to up or increase that savings to make up for the period that we are in currently. So to unpack that, how do those moments go?
um, well, I would say that, like you had suggested before, they were planned in the beginning. Life changes things, but you do have a goal for the end of where we are now, and that was saving money. Sometimes we had to save less, like you said, just to live life at that current time. But our plan was to be at the point we are now, to have our home paid for, to have our bills, no debt, because at our level, we had to realize that we couldn't have debt and we couldn't have a house note. That would be where we couldn't do it very well. So that was always a long term plan. That was always to get where we are now. And then we would also say, okay, now at this point, we can't go out to eat. We can't maybe take a trip, all of us. Just the kids can go. So those were that build up to this type of thing where we are now. And it's turned out really, really good. And then also making sure we paid all our bills. Our credit right now, that is one of our high, 100% exactly, at least through, if I can say, Credit Karma.
yeah. You can say
Yeah, yes, yeah, right, yeah.
Okay,
Well, there's several
100%.
resources, right?
Okay, 100%
on
paid,
time
on time
payment
On
payment.
for
time.
like
Well,
25 years.
you could just say that you were mindful of these the healthiness of your finances.
Yes,
You wanted them to work for you.
yes,
You
yes,
wanted them to work for you, and you were all, both of you all were you you said it all the time, back of the envelope. I remember seeing you all, with the notepad. I mean, before the apps came out, y'all had meetings. You knew
We had a
where
monthly
you
budget.
were, and
Yes,
still do. Now there's computers and all that now, to help
we used to vet check.
facilitate. Right,
Yeah, they check me. That's good. Yeah.
right. The check register back in the day. I mean,
Oh
y'all
We
are all
man.
used it to a
You-
T, man.
right. Y'all are all up and through that.
Oh
And writing a budget out for what we had and how much we could spend and where.
Right, right. And here's another thing I'd like for you all to touch on, which is although you all were budgeters and savers and very astute on, hey, listen, we need to have our meetings and went through the register. Y'all weren't anti-spending. You enjoyed yourselves as well. Can you touch on that too? Because you enjoyed yourselves, and in the family, we had a good time. So touch on that too, because some people have struggled with, not releasing money as they earn.
That's true. We would go to the rodeo every year, so and we would even buy everybody something that's boots or a hat. We would go to the circus. Those were things we could do. We would go hiking, bike riding, traveling. We would send you guys home sometimes to see your grandparents and your cousins. And we would stay behind. That's because we knew we couldn't do it at that time, all of us. But we did do some fun things. Your dad and I, if you want to say personally, we would go to a Valentine's dance every year. We
Mhm.
waited for that. We would buy our outfits. We would look well.
yes.
Everybody
Oh
said
yeah,
we looked
y'all would
really,
look fly. Y'all would look
Save,
fly.
but we saved for that
save for that
because that was
outfit.
a big event for us. So that we liked that. And it was we got to see our friends and their parents, and so we would do things. We would go dancing sometimes and go out with our friends. We would have events here.
Hmm.
We would cook and do trays and have gather on Christmas and just have people over and barbecue and cook. So we did. We had fun as well. Yes, we did, and we used money for that. We would say, okay, we're going to do
And
this.
save for that.
You
But
say
we and
save
yes,
for
we saved for it.
that.
We saved for it. We
Right, right,
saved for it.
Yeah, you have to
right.
save for
So
it.
we knew when it came time to have to get those outfits because when you go out, you have to look nice. Then
Hmm.
we saved for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to look. You had to look clean. Y'all did too. Y'all look clean too, boy. And I share with folks all the time, which is, instead of having an emergency fund because it was so alarmist, it was like an event readiness fund. I mean, that way you can be ready for events, which
Yes.
is ready for events in case the washing machine went out, which it did, or
Yeah.
something like that. But you can
A
also be
car
ready
fund.
for.
Talk about that. Yes.
I
Yeah.
fixed that one washing machine about 10 years straight, though. I fixed it.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, pops, you was on that, right? You was on that
Yeah.
washing machine,
Hey,
right?
look. Hey, I know everything about a washing machine right now.
Right. So
Uh,
y'all were ready for both positive events and also those events, those unforeseen. So y'all mentioned that all too. Y'all had these great sayings too. Those unforeseen events. You used to say roll and adapt a lot.
that's
So
it.
share a little bit about that, which is just the emotionality and the mindset of knowing things are going to happen, but not necessarily letting them get you so down, even though they're coming, but knowing that you can work your way through. I mean, you don't have to be so positive all the time, but just saying, I know you all said you rely on faith and whatever faith people rely themselves on, or how they get yourself through. But just roll in the adapt mindset, knowing things that are going to come, but having a teamwork a mindset, and just knowing that you can have some flexibility and get. How did you all just emotionally get your family through, get your marriage through, get your household through, get your finances through? How did y'all work yourself through that?
Well, roll and adapt. When something happens, you roll with it and you adapt to the situation. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So, and then for example, is that, and people need, well, the first part of the show that we was talking about, that still's in play. I mean, you still, the kids got to go to, you got to go, somebody's got to go to PTA meeting. Somebody, you got to still work on the marriage. All that stuff's still in place. So now you adding this on top of all that. So when that happens, then let's say, for example, you have well, not a storm. Your roof just wore out. Okay, so you can't put it on insurance. So you got to buy one. So now you got to tap into one of those funds. So when you tap into that fund, like, so we sit down, we're like, okay, you know what? We got X amount of dollars in there, but we gotta have this roof. So we bought the roof, got the roof, fixed it, took care of that problem. Now we have to roll and adapt. So now we have to get that money back in there some kind of way. It's going to take some time because all these other things is being addressed. So we address those, but we still conscious of the fact, hey, we need to get that money back in there. It's going to take a little time, but it's got to go back in there to reach our ultimate goal down the line of retirement. That was
Hmm.
always there. So we always had a plan. We always roll and adapt,
Hmm.
and then we and then these years they don't time doesn't stop. Everything is still going. So you
Hmm.
just roll and adapt and get in where you fit in and replenish. You might not replenish as much, but the key is to replenish
Right.
because if you don't, your ultimate goal where we are now won't happen.
Right. Did
You
it
know,
did
so
it did it seem daunting sometimes? Did it and
It did.
overwhelming?
it's not easy.
And where the life part comes in there, your money and your balance, and the balance is communicating. If you're gonna do it together, you need to be on the same track. That's what your dad
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
That's what you both need to be on the same track, and that's not easy, especially how young we started out. I know I had to learn a lot of things. I've always wanted to save. Anything I had, I wanted to save, and we did. We wanted to save,
Hmm.
but you still have those emotional parts where it's hard, where you're dealing with the family, your marriage, life,
all that.
and then your money comes into that as well. And sometimes you may get into a state, well, I know I did, I'll admit, that you want to spend a little bit more than you should.
Mm,
But
mm,
you have to learn not to do that. I had to learn not to do that at those times.
With some
hmm
very
hmm
So don't overspend because you have some emotional things going on.
hmm
Stay on track with that. Stay on track and keep on trying if you have to, because life does bring you things that you don't know is going to bring you. But
hmm
just like you said, love, replenish, because every time we replenished,
hmm
it helped us when another time came that we didn't think was going to come. We
hmm
had the money to do it. And we've always wanted to pay for our things, not have anything on a monthly thing. We never did like
Right,
that.
right.
That's why we went to resale shops. When we went to stores, we went to the place where it was sale, the chairs were in the sale area. We wanted to pay cash. We didn't want to have that credit. So we are so happy that we have no debt. And that's
Mm,
what we've always wanted. That was always a goal from the beginning, no debt. And use the credit for us and not the credit take over us.
right,
yeah.
right. Let it work for you, and y'all have
Thank
done
you,
a
love.
great job with that. So
Yes.
let's fast forward a little bit to where you all are now, which is you transition into this work optional stage, or neither one of you are having to do any work. So, but you prepared for that. So let's talk about a little bit about how you talked through that. About when was it time to make that move, and then say, okay, we're about to go into this next phase. I'll just unpack that a little bit. How did that come? When was the right time?
Well, the right time was, I guess you can say, the moment because we had already started reducing debt. Okay, but when it accelerated was when we paid off that house.
Mm-hmm.
When we paid off that house, that was a huge, huge raise.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened,
We just
things
started knocking
things
out
start we start
the
knocking out
debt.
everything because we like,
Yeah.
okay, now we got this extra dollars. So it was very short because the plan was already in place. So we didn't have a lot of debt then. So
Mm-mm.
once we
Right.
paid off the house, it's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. These are knocked out as well, real quick. So after that got knocked out, we like, okay, now we can think about actually getting out of here, get
What about the
unplug the rat race.
What
Yeah.
about the life? What about the life signal? Particularly you, Pop. What about the life signal? Because you went through a lot of just pondering. You like, what I'm thinking about when I'm ready to go. And I know the mortgage and the debt thing was important to you, but there was also saying, okay, when am I ready? Because it's about the life transitioning, and both of you we're talking and saying, "Hey, we're going to enter in our next stage together, and our aspirations and what we want to do and all of that." So just unpack that a little bit. How do those discussions go, and how do those thoughts go?
Well, uh, those discussions were. we had them a lot. We used to talk a lot.
We
I
still
mean,
do.
we still talk a lot. We talk to you guys. We talk to and we talk to each other a lot. We still do. But this is going to sound kind of crazy, but retirement, actual retirement, where we are now, that started the day I started working.
We just talked about that today, didn't we,
Yeah,
man?
we did. The day I started working, after I had you guys, we had you guys, and even us, it started that
So
day.
that's always been the plan to get to this point. So
It,
he knew, and
oh,
he wanted to do it early. So, like you're saying, so he planned. He said maybe I could do it at 63 instead of
actually,
65.
it was.
Right.
I thought it was
If
good.
COVID didn't happen,
Yeah.
it would have happened. He was ready,
Right.
to have
The day you started working, right? Not doing what you have to do anymore. The day you started working, and you
That's
know
what
That,
he was saying that too.
that's
Not
a,
doing what you have to do.
yeah, that's a common that's a common. I love your line, which is personal preference, because it's different for everyone.
Of course.
Some people want to keep doing what they're doing. Some people have these different timelines, different aspirations, and
Yeah.
are different interpretations of freedoms and what they want
Yes.
to do, contentment, purpose, and what is both of yours, and I've heard different versions, and I'm trying to hone in on sharing with everyone. It's like everyone has their own unique personal preferences of what they want to do with life. So when it's your time, when it's your thought, when it's your aspiration, measure it for yourself and then align these two and go forward. So for you two, what was that for you, and are you living it right now?
Yes,
yes.
I'm living it. I'm living it. We talked about simple, but it's not simple. It is, and that's a word that may be looked at whatever way. But anyway, simple for us is that we're living the way we want to. We want to be able to travel. I want to be. We want to be healthier. So we
Mm,
really are doing that. I just joined Noom again, and watch what
mm,
I eat because that makes it more fun for us. We want to have fun together. We're gonna take some trips, just hanging around with each other, going to the movies, visiting friends and family. We
yeah,
get to do that now.
We,
yeah,
So and that makes us happy.
and to touch on
Yeah.
that, it was a lot of years, a lot of days when I used to go to work, and when Shirley was here, and I didn't want to leave because we just be sitting out talking, chilling, da da
He
da.
would get
And I
so
got and
mad.
when I got to and we have breakfast and everything. And I got to go to work. Man, that
Oh,
oh man, I didn't like that at all. And I said we're gonna make this happen as soon as we can. If it would have happened in 5 years, I'd have done that. And 10 years, it took us about 35, 40 years of working, but to do it halfway correctly, I'm talking about you guys have your opportunity, work
yes,
on the marriage, all that stuff we talked about,
yes,
which is a is it's that's work to do
Mhm,
that because there's a
mhm,
lot of give and go. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
fast forward to right
Consistency.
now.
Yeah.
Luckily, as long as our freezer is full,
mhm,
and
mhm.
I don't have to go back to work now.
We're putting different things in there lately,
Yeah,
aren't
we
we,
put
baby?
different things.
We're
Yeah,
putting in fruit
yeah.
and vegetables. We're really gonna do this.
You know what?
You already have.
That's
Now I'm
just a
on the
simple thing. You
journey.
know, when you came down, when you visited us, it's so small, but it's accurate. And when you came down, and we know you like orange juice, and we didn't have any orange juice, and I was like, if this just that quick, now I can say, hey man, we're going to get you some orange juice, or go get some orange juice, man. It's on us. You know what I mean? Back in the day, well, man, look, we ain't got no orange juice. You just ain't gonna get none.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, we can pay for lunch more.
yeah. We pay for
That's the kind
lunch.
of things we want to
Just
do
simple things.
for the whole family,
If somebody's
dinner
going
or
out, it's
whatever.
$50,
Our
$60
granddaughter
for
do more for
everybody to
her
eat.
in all her activities she's in now.
Let's
We can
do
help
it.
with
That's
that.
right.
That makes us happy.
We
That's
good.
we came here. And
Yes,
yeah, so it's individual. Do it for what you want
yes,
in
yes,
life, and
yeah.
that doesn't make it any better or
That's
worse
right.
than anybody else's.
That's right.
Mhm.
Just do it for
Right,
what's good
comparing.
for you.
Right,
Yes.
comparing to others journey and
So
whatnot.
No,
It's good for you.
Yes, and it's our journey.
It's
And
your
for us to make
journey.
it to this point, we're proud of each other. You know, I usually used to tell you guys don't say proud, but there's nothing wrong with saying that
Mm-hmm.
because we worked to get here. To get here.
Mm-hmm.
Friend of mine decided we kind of retired together. He retired before me, and he got a lucrative deal to go back to work as a consultant. I'm not mad at it.
Mm-hmm.
When I retired, this possibility I could have done something like that, but I wanted to unplug all the way out of the workforce. I don't care how good the money was. Money, one thing money can't buy. It'll buy a lot of things, but it cannot buy time.
Mm.
That's true.
It cannot buy time.
That's very very true.
And if I'm consulting in a different city, or something like that, I'm missing the time that I have with my wife, seeing you guys, anything like that. That price was too high for me to pay just for a few little extra dollars. So I like, no, you can have that. But the
That's why
money,
we agreed on how much we
yeah,
need
how much we need.
and
Like,
what was good for us. For us.
you gonna turn this money down? You gonna turn this money? Yeah, I'm gonna turn the money down because I can't spend time with my kids or my wife or do what I want to do. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
working. I don't need to be working.
Right. And you have enough money to you have enough money to for the time that you want already.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
You have enough money for the time that you have, because folks tend to forget that time does cost money, so you have to save enough money to allot for the time that you want to spend.
that's
That's
correct.
very true, babe. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
For
right.
what makes you happy?
for what makes you happy. That's
Yes, for
correct.
what makes
Yes,
you happy.
A
for
whole
sure.
lot of people right now, if they
Mm.
knew our finances, they look at like, man, y'all are nuts. Somebody need
No,
to go back to work.
But
but
we've done.
that goes back to show you. It goes back to show you that again, to what Mother Dear, what you said, to what you are satisfied with.
Yes, and that's okay. And that is okay. I had to learn that in my life that what is best for me. I'm not going to compare myself to everyone else. I'm going to do the best in my journey and in my finances, in my marriage, and that's for me. And then someone else may want something else, just like you said. But we've also got to. We're doing several things in our home that we wanted to do. We had a safety shower for me. Put granite in our kitchen
It's a
counters,
whole lot of
but we waited for that until we
yeah.
got the money, and
And
now we're paying. We're paying cash for it. For it. So we saved up for that. We waited. We had a crack and stuff like that, but you got to wait. At
So
least we
patience.
did.
yeah,
You keep it clean. You take care of it until you can do it.
Patience with a plan.
And
So,
now we're doing it.
Pops, you had one thing that you said recently, as far as something for. I asked you if you had a plan for the day one time, and I said, "Pop, you got a plan?" And you said, "He said, what did you say?" I said, "Do you have a plan?" I
I
said,
said,
"No."
I remember you asked me that, and I had to think about that too because you were serious, and I didn't want to ask a serious question. So when you asked me that, I said, I don't even have a thought process. I don't
I
even
don't
have
even
a
have a
thought
thought
process.
process.
And
I said, "I throw that
I
on a T-shirt."
uh,
Oh,
I
you
said,
need
"I
to put
throw
that.
that going on a T-shirt." I said, I
yeah,
don't have a thought process."
yeah, I don't. I don't, and I say that proudly too.
That
Because
doesn't
I'm
mean
like,
he's not thinking.
yeah, money,
No, I'm just playing.
no, yeah,
Right, right, right.
Get
But
your
no,
thought.
you've allowed yourself to just live in the moment and be present
Yes,
and
yes,
be
that's
present and be
that's right.
present. Well, I'll let that be your closing thought, Pop, because that's fantastic. And Mother Dear, what is a closing thought for you to share with the audience? Because you have so many gems about humanity and just so
Wow.
many. So what are some of your gems that you can share with us?
Wow, where are some of my gems? Woo. Well, I'm going to switch that a little bit because I want to talk about us a little bit and
Okay.
as far as what I'm doing on my journey. And I wanted to be in this age a healthy mother, wife, and grandmother. And I'm on that journey again, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say that because that's just going to add to the life we plan together and myself, to be healthy. Some of the gems I would say communicate,
Mm,
respect, love. Never give up on what you want in your journey of saving your money, your marriage, your friendships, whatever. just give all that of yourself as much as you can. Don't take a lot of negativity over and over again,
Mm,
but love, pray for those things. Love and pray for that because you've done everything you can physically.
mm.
But the ones you do have, love them and don't feel ashamed to do it. Love them with all your heart. And like I said, the ones you do love that you can't get along with, whatever reason it is, be positive about that as well.
Mm.
Pray, whatever, have meditate about them, pray for them, whatever you do. But that's the main thing. Love one another, respect one another, value your relationships. It's more than money. It's to value relationships.
Whew. Well, I tell you, I, that's why I kicked it off with you two. I appreciate both of you so much and what you've done for me, Jennifer, my sister, Madison, the next generation, Ryan, our Jennifer's husband, my fiance Iman coming up. Just thank you for what you've instilled for me and Jen for sure. Your lives are so representative. People ask me all the time where life money balance came from, how it instilled, where it came from, where it's progressed, and everything. And these two episodes, what you have embodied and contributed over the lifetime, the listeners, the world has been able to see quite naturally where it's come from. I appreciate you both. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
Oh, you're
Kirsten. Thank you,
absolutely
Dr.
welcome.
Cherry. We've
And proud of
enjoyed it
you.
so much. Yes,
And
we are.
Jen,
We love
you
you
and
so,
Jen,
both of you guys.
you guys are our legacy. So
Oh man,
this
it's
is
been a
great.
blessing who you guys are. We thank God for you, really.
All right. All right. All right. Until next time, listeners, thank you for listening to the Life Money Balance podcast, where we talk about letting your life lead your money. And we will chop it up next time. Till then, cheers.